Well, we are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast number 214, Torch News Roundup number 259, on a very special middle of the week broadcast. We haven't done one of these Wednesday broadcasts in a while. Try to usually do a broadcast on the weekend, but we finally got enough stuff to talk about. It's been a minute since there was something interesting to talk about. Of course, the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer dropping this afternoon. The long-awaited Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. Kind of a late broadcast for that reason. I kind of wanted to get on this one early, but I'm sure there's probably about 75,000 reaction videos by now. But we're trying to get there a little bit earlier than usual. All right, first, before we get into the subject at hand, I know we're all so excited to talk about this. I know we're all so excited to talk about this, especially after the great track record Disney has with Star Wars in particular. But let me just take a moment, just a mere moment, a fraction, a scintilla of time to plug my comic, The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. I know you know all about it. I know you love it dearly. But once again, the third issue in the Family Jewels arc, still at press. As of now, I don't know exactly when this baby's going to be ready to send out, but it could be any day. And if you check the link in the description below for my website and for my Twitter page, you'll be brought up to date when this baby's ready to go. But we're really excited about this one. This is the senses-shattering climax to the Family Jewels story arc, where Bullets Bourbon once more confronts the evil villain Carrot Top, and this time, it may be the last time. Oh yes, we're calling it In the Final Hours, because we didn't have the heart to call it The Death of Bullets Bourbon. Will our stalwart hero come through once again, or will this be the final adventure? The black lettering there, that might give you kind of a hint that this is for real. This is pretty serious business going on in this issue. This is not business as usual. This is a soul-shattering climax. And as as this issue goes to print, there's no hiding the fact that the series is going on. We are going to work on Bullets Bourbon number 10, which I'm very excited about because this year is the 10th anniversary of Bullets Bourbon comics. Bullets Bourbon been going on now for 10 years, and we have, well, basically an issue of every year representing. And we're starting what we call the season finale. This is the first season of Bullets Bourbon, and that season is coming to a close. We have not yet disclosed who the villain is going to be. I made a couple of confirmations, we'll say, on Twitter that we are going to see Officers Harrison Ford back in a slightly bigger role this time. And we're also going to see Dr. Frank Stewart, the young genius of the team, getting a slightly larger role. He usually likes to stay in the lab, but we're going to take him out of the lab this time and actually give him some groundwork. Is it because Bullets is no longer alive? That's the big question. You'll find that answer to that, hopefully soon, when you read Bullets Bourbon Casebook 9 In the Final Hours. Once again, check out the link in the description below for the website. Also, check us out on Twitter. Twitter's becoming a bit more fun for me nowadays. I'm trying to talk more comics, less politics. So you might dig it a little more if you haven't checked the Twitter feed in a while. So along with this, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Do all those wonderful things that all you wonderful people always do. And let's get straight to it. Let's see. We don't have a lot to talk about. Like I said, there really isn't a lot going on today. But we have that Obi-Wan trailer, so let's put up a couple images here, see if we can talk about... Now, it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, I suppose, right? And first off, the first thing that got my attention when I seen this was Obi-Wan looks a lot less gray here than he did in Revenge of the Sith. It's kind of an interesting look. I don't know. Is he trying to is he trying to hide out a little more? You can tell he's wearing sort of a variation of the Jedi robes. He's not quite wearing the Alec Guinness style robes yet. There are some scenes of him on Tatooine where he does look a little bit more age appropriate, I think. But this is taking place like 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, and consequentially, probably about 10 years before New Hope. So it's smack dab in the middle, and I figured to see sort of a blend of both looks, both of the Alec Guinness look and the Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan look. This kind of looks more like it's a cross between Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars. He's got sort of that well, the Attack of the Clones mullet, sort of, kind of. He's kind of got a little of that rocking here, but again, Ewan looks great. It's so difficult, and the question is going to be, and I want you to let me know in the comments below. You know, a lot of people saying they're jangling the keys. They're jangling the keys. Everybody's gonna come run now because we get the Kenobi series. Haven't we learned our lesson from the Book of Boba Fett, for instance? Haven't we learned our lesson with the sequel trilogy? Basically, Disney has done an abysmal job with Star Wars. And do we dare hope? You know, a new hope. Is this a new hope? Do you have hope that this is going to work? That maybe the right people are involved. Maybe Ewan McGregor will elevate what may be slightly weaker material coming from the hands of these Disney creators into something special. Is that too much to hope for? Can we hope for a at least satisfactory Obi-Wan series? Or are we condemned to just having abysmal failure after abysmal failure? All right, so let's break this down here. Let's get into some of these images, and I'll share with you the good and the bad, what I think is going to be pretty exciting about it, what is possibly going to be disappointing. For example, we got to see young Luke for the first time, Luke Skywalker, looking very reminiscent of Anakin Skywalker at that age, Jake Lloyd kind of vibes I'm getting from this. We had, you know, similar costuming on Jake Lloyd, and, you know, maybe his hair is a shade darker than Jake's was. But again, this just feels so right. Obi-Wan with his micro binoculars, overlooking the Lars homestead and watching over Luke while nobody else is, you know, aware of his destiny, so to speak. This really hits the note. This really hits right on the head. And of course, we see young or younger Owen Lars, you know, not quite as young as he was in the prequel trilogy, but you know, he's sort of in the marketplace, I guess, with the Inquisitors, looking around for Jedi. And I think that was a good choice as well, to have the Inquisitors. A lot of talk about Princess Leia was going to be a focal point in this series. They didn't show us any Princess Leia, nor did they show us any Darth Vader. But because this is the first trailer, I think that was a smart move, because I think Darth Vader would have overwhelmed it. We've got to start with Obi-Wan. Start with Obi-Wan and what he's doing on Tatooine and watching over Luke. Then we can bring in Darth Vader and some of the subsequent action in the second trailer. This, of course, is going to come out this year, May 25th, which is traditionally, for me, that's Star Wars Day. I know a lot of people celebrate May the 4th, because May the 4th be with you, as Star Wars Day. But pretty much every important Star Wars project has come out the 25th. If not, that's the 21st. So it seems appropriate. Let's see. I suppose Princess Leia is going to be involved. I think, as somebody said on Twitter, I think this is probably only the first maybe 2 episodes that they're pulling these images from. I don't think they want to share too much with us. This is another interesting image. Reminds me of Attack of the Clones. Use registered transport. I guess he's trying to get off planet, and he's sort of trying to blend in like a refugee or something off of Tatooine. So this again looks interesting. Ewan McGregor, of course, I think even the detractors of the prequel trilogy would say he was a highlight of that, trilogy. And I think, he brings so much gravitas to this. I mean, you just look at him in this picture, and it's worth 1,000 words. It reminds me of in Revenge of the Sith after he's defeated Anakin, and he's got that just look of exhaustion mixed with grief. It's really good. It's really powerful. Of course, also you can't hear it here because we're not going to play the trailer. I don't want to take any chances. But Duel of the Fates kicking in at some point during the trailer, very exciting. Again, this was a great trailer. It pushed all the right buttons. It evoked a mood that we haven't felt since the glory days of the prequels. Because unfortunately, when you think of it, the last time Star Wars was really that good was the prequels. And this suddenly kind of takes you back there. It makes you feel like maybe, just maybe, this will be a worthy successor to the prequels. Now, let's talk about some of the things I didn't like so much. Unfortunately, there are some things I didn't like so much. Now, of course, this, at the risk of not being politically correct, I'm going to point out this seems to be our main villain, one of the villains, but this Inquisitor is seen in the marketplace, and apparently she's chasing Obi-Wan. Again, every other character in this trailer seemed to be female. And so it does feel like they're very much still stressing this. The Force is female, women are just as important in Star Wars, and all the claptrap that Kathleen Kennedy has brought to Star Wars since she's been spearheading it. Again, it's a strong black woman is one of our lead villains in this, and maybe she won't even stay a villain because we can't paint a strong black woman in a non-positive light. It just feels like there's a setup for so much of this to go wrong. And I also feel very confident that had this series been done under George Lucas, we would have gotten a exciting, more interesting looking alien in the place of this woman. And that's without a doubt what I miss the most, is that, we have diversity boxes to check. We have to make sure X number of women are represented, X number of minorities are represented. It kind of takes me out of it, because when you see, like, in the trailer, there's like women Imperial officers, and I guess, of course, also women Inquisitors. It feels like it takes us out of that original trilogy where because this is taking place roughly at the time of the original trilogy. I mean, about 10 years before the original trilogy, but it takes place at that time where the Empire was pretty much old white dudes. And it kind of takes me out of it when we have to check boxes for so much representation. Oh, okay, this looks like modern day Star Wars. This doesn't look like a timeless galaxy the way that Lucas originally had it. Because with Lucas, it didn't have to check boxes. It was meant to be timeless. And this does now, of course, feel like a product of its time because of this kind of casting and so forth. All right. Another thing I'm not entirely sure of, I said this as well about Book of Boba Fett. But a lot of these alien characters, I don't know. I mean, this is going to be our setting. It looks very much like Coruscant. I'm not sure if it is Coruscant. But our alien characters, they're not really that exciting looking. It doesn't, we don't really see too many aliens in this trailer. They're sort of in the background. I guess this guy's another Inquisitor. But I don't know. I don't feel like Lucasfilm has really gotten the knack of aliens since, like, the prequel trilogy ended. Another case in point here. This is the Grand Inquisitor, and I remember him from I guess, Rebels. Now, if you compare the two images, I put them side by side purposefully. That's an interesting lightsaber. I like that. That's cool. It's got the sort of semi-circular blade mount there. But this guy on the left does not look anything like the Grand Inquisitor. They didn't do anything to sort of make his cranium bigger. So he just kind of looks like a dumpy, bald guy. The eyes are completely wrong. Those eyes are so menacing in the Rebels version here. But this guy just looks like a guy with a bad makeup job. And quite honestly, this reminds me of like something out of The Last Starfighter. I don't know how many of you guys remember that one. It's a good movie. Check it out. But the makeup on the bad guys, the Kodan Armada, they just basically look like this, except like they have like maybe some hair, sort of they're like male pattern baldness hair. And I just don't know, how could you get this wrong? That would be such a scary and imposing character, and it would go a long way in giving us a really exciting looking new alien. I mean, of course, his species existed, I think, in Revenge of the Sith. I can't remember what the name of that species is, but from Revenge of the Sith, I think, what's his name? Bruce Spence played the main character that Obi-Wan interacts with there. But again, I don't know. It's not doing it for me, and I kind of feel like they cheaped out on this look. It doesn't look scary or imposing at all. Hoping that Obi-Wan will fight this guy, but again, does that I don't know. Does that fly in the face of what's already been established? I didn't finish Rebels. I probably could go back to it at this point. I forget where I left off, but I don't know. I mean, I'm against keeping Rebels in canon. I said this before, but like Darth Maul, he dies in Rebels. Oh wow, that was such an exciting death for Darth Maul. He takes one swing and then gets killed. We waited 30 years for them to have a rematch for that. No, just take it out of canon. And it's the same thing here. I don't know what they did with the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels, but if it comes to it and he kind of has a fight with Obi-Wan that makes sense, then by all means, let's do it. Do it. All right, so that's basically it. They don't show a whole heck of a lot. Plot-wise, it's basically just the idea of the Inquisitors coming after the Jedi. And I don't know, I've always been of two minds on the characters or the concept of the Inquisitors, because on the one hand, I think Vader should be leading the Jedi Purge. I don't think they should be leaving it to the Grand Inquisitor. Whether that means that, we can't have any other Sith or, well, let's say Force-oriented villains helping out. I guess there's some gray area there. And I would imagine probably Lucas would allow this if he was still in charge, if he was still pulling the strings. But you got to be careful. You got to make sure that Vader is, of course, the figurehead of this whole Jedi purge, and not just put everything at the door of the Inquisitor. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Again, do you dare have any enthusiasm for this, knowing what we've already seen? At what point do you say 3 strikes and you're out, and I'm not getting excited about this? I can't help but be a little enthusiastic. I'm going to give it a fair shot. I'm certainly going to, check it out and see for myself, as I did with Book of Boba Fett. Of course, Disney has had some successes. I mean, The Mandalorian plugging on for 2 seasons now, getting ready for the 3rd season, and it's been pretty good. And Rogue One, of course, many will say is Disney's best Star Wars movie, at this point at least. So is it possible that they can find it within themselves to not mess this up, to not monkey around with identity politics just long enough to get us whatever this is? What is this? Is this an 8-episode limited series or 7, something like that? I don't know. Quite honestly, I don't know. I mean, is 7 episodes going to be enough? I think everybody's going to want to see more, and we'll just have to see if they can manage another season, because there's only so much story you can tell where Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine, or you could have it sort of as an anthology where he's just doing things on Tatooine here and there, and over the years, like, have a time progression. It's possible to still string this along for more seasons, but um, you kind of have to be careful with this situation. So we'll see. We'll see how far they go, and exactly what they can do with this. Let's see. We got some copy here, so let me see. Well, let me put something on the screen here so you got something to look at. No, of course I can't do that. All right. Let's see. The story begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan Kenobi faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice Luke Skywalker, who turned to the dark side as evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. Now, this is another thing. Some people have questioned, well, he's depressed, and are they going to ruin the character of Obi-Wan and stuff? That's a great possibility. There's always that possibility, but you have to remember that given what he's gone through, it's quite honestly natural for him to be depressed and to feel resigned to the fact that they lost. I mean, he pretty much watched his best friend get barbecued, and they left the galaxy in the hands of an evil tyrant. All his friends and peers are all dead. It's kind of, you have to understand the situation that he's in. So, of course, now the question is, can Disney turn that into an arc where he finds hope by the end? And that's what you would expect them to do. Of course, can they do it? I'm not sure. Obi-Wan Kenobi stars Ewan McGregor as iconic Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. It also marks the return of Hayden Christensen in the role of Darth Vader. Also in the cast are Moses Ingram, Joel Edgerton, Bonnie Piesse, Kimniel Najani, Indira Varma, Rupert Friend, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Sung Kang, Simone Cassell, and Benny Safdie. The series is directed by Deborah Chow and produced by Kathleen Kennedy, Michelle Rijwan, Deborah Chow, Ewan McGregor, and Joby Harold. The series makes its way to Disney Plus May 25th. So, be there or be square. All right, next up, we'll talk about the breaking news today as well, that Warner Brothers has decided to move its slate of DC movies up somewhat. Black Adam will now appear in theaters October 21st, after originally being scheduled for a July 29th release. So Black Adam is still going to make its way to theaters this year. Pretty much everything else is not. The animated DC League of Super Pets will take Black Adam's old July 29th spot, after previously being slated for May 20th. So that also is still... I really haven't looked into that much. That looks kind of cute for kids. The Flash has moved from November 4th, 2022 to June 23rd, 2023. So the Flash has been moved around so much at this point. The Flash has been moved, I think, 5 times at least, perhaps more than that, since the movie was announced. The Aquaman sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, has shifted dates from December 16th, 2022 to March 17th, 2023. So don't expect to see The Flash or Aquaman until sometime next year. Again, this is disappointing because it was a stacked year for movies, and I was looking forward to it. But apparently, they don't want to put Black Adam, I suppose, in the same summer as Doctor Strange. They want to move that further away, I guess. And then, of course, everything else gets moved down. I don't know if there's any logical reason about The Flash. Aquaman, they're going to have conspiracy theorists tell you that it probably has something to do with them wanting to cut down Amber Heard's screen time. Again, I I don't believe in cancel culture. I think if anything, rather than trying to cancel Amber Heard, I would rather people try to get Johnny Depp his career back. That's kind of more what we have to concentrate on and have them uncancel Johnny Depp instead of trying to cancel Amber Heard. But of course, that's just my opinion. Yeah, so at least we're still getting Black Adam, I guess. I'm cautiously optimistic for this movie, mostly because I want to see Pierce Brosnan's Doctor Fate. That looks really exciting, and he's going to be introduced in this. But yeah, disappointing that most of the rest of the DC slate is moving wildly next year. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think about this move? I don't know. Quite frankly, I think it's a mistake to move so many of them. I think maybe you could have moved Aquaman, because I don't think a December release date does you any favors, to be totally honest with you. But all right, let's see. There's been a lot of news coming out about Craven the Hunter getting his own solo movie. Now, of course, this is nothing new. We've already had the Venom franchise. Now we have 2 movies in the franchise. Morbius is still being pushed along there. It's coming out, I believe, in, what is it, April. The Morbius trailer came out, and I was going to cover it, but to be totally honest with you, there really isn't much in that trailer that's new besides like an extra Michael Keaton scene, which again, this is confounding because I don't know if Michael Keaton is in the same universe as Venom, or because they've established this two separate universes, and we've also established that Morbius takes place in Venom's universe. But now we're also showing that there's an Adrian Toomes in the Venomverse that looks at least consistent with the MCU verse. It's confusing. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with that. But anyway, I'm getting progressively less interested in Morbius. I think if it came out in January, I'd have been stoked to see it. But now that we're moving closer into the, the summer of movies and stuff, it's going to get swallowed up really quickly, I think, with some of the other bigger movies that are coming out. But anyway, back on topic. Craven the Hunter, of course, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson, who, if you remember him from Age of Ultron, played Quicksilver, Pietro Maximoff. And this is his second shot at a Marvel character. I think he's going to do quite well, actually. This picture I got of him looks, you kind of get the idea where they're going to go probably with the makeup with him with this. But I think he can do it. And he's breaking his silence, at least as this copy says. And we'll take a look at what it says here. Taylor Johnson said of how he's preparing to play Kraven. It's like you're coming at it from the physical aspect because that's what you can see from a comic book. You go, oh, he looks like that, so I have to look like that. You see that and you start to backtrack and dig deeper and go, this is where he originates from. Then he has this relationship and that relationship. You just hope that you're going to portray something that you can bring to life. There is, again, room for interpretation, and you want to be able to bring something and let it pop off the page. It's another new challenge. We talk about putting yourself under pressure all the time. I don't step away from controversial stuff. I don't know what it is, but I'm always drawn to the thing that might actually give me a stroke. Taylor Johnson concluded by sharing an update on his work and how it's progressing, saying, I'm good. I'm in England. I'm not in London, but just outside, close to the production office for Craven the Hunter. I'm staying here because I've got a bunch of stunt training to do for this movie, so the director and I are bunking up for the next couple of weeks. Well, it sounds like he is pretty much in the zone for Craven the Hunter. I think, to be honest with you, I think they have a good shot of making that a pretty good movie. I think Craven lends itself to a lot more possibilities than Morbius. Morbius is kind of just a horror, the typical vampire story. I don't know. I mean, with Craven, you could do something interesting. But the question, of course, is, are they going to meet up with Spider-Man at some point? And that is still unconclusive. We don't know about that. All right, the cast of Craven has grown exponentially since last we spoke. Last time we talked, uh, let's see, there was big news about. I'm trying to read the copy fast. What's that guy's name? The guy who played Jor-El, Russell Crowe. Okay, Russell Crowe was cast in an undisclosed role. Some are saying that it was possibly Craven's father. But we've got the villain of the piece, because now all these Spidey villains are now not really villains. They're misunderstood anti-heroes. Let's see. Christopher Abbott will be playing the main villain, a.k.a. the Foreigner. I'm not sure I remember that character from the comics, but I will continue to read the copy here. Let's see. According to Deadline, Catch-22 actor Christopher Abbott will play the Foreigner, best known as a foe of Spider-Man. The mysterious mercenary is adept at multiple forms of martial arts and can induce a 10-second hypnotic trance in someone by making eye contact. He's only had a few run-ins with Craven in the comics, but is a known associate of his brother, the Chameleon. Yeah, we were also speculating whether the Chameleon was going to be in this movie because, of course, he is related to Craven in the comics. Let's see. Fred Hechinger is on board as the Chameleon. Now, again, I didn't know that was confirmed, but I guess he is going to be playing the Chameleon, that guy. With Ariana DeBose, I suppose, as Calypso. That, of course, being the lady on the right there. And Alessandro Nivola as an unnamed villain. So that sounds pretty interesting. Let's see. Craven the Hunter is set to be released in theaters January 13th, 2023. That sounds pretty close. I am willing to bet that date is going to be moved up, just like every other date is moved up, because, yeah, they're not going to be done with it by then. They haven't even started filming and so forth, so I wouldn't put too much stock in that if I were you. All right, so let me know what you think about Craven the Hunter, the motion picture. And is that something you're dying to see, or does Sony really have any plans to cross these guys over with Spider-Man? I certainly hope so. Let me know. Okay, and for our final story, a very brief final story we have here. Indiana Jones 5, the as yet untitled Indiana Jones 5, has wrapped production. The principal photography is completed, and now, of course, there is the long road of special effects and CGI treatment that the aging archaeologist will face in what is sure to be his final big budget feature motion picture for Disney / Paramount. They still have any say in that? I don't. Yeah, Frank Marshall, who is unfortunately married to Kathleen Kennedy, broke the news along with James Mangold, who is the director, taking over for the legendary Steven Spielberg. And again, this is another situation. A lot of people have written this movie off. I hope to see a good film out of this. I mean, I am not one of those people that hated Crystal Skull. It was a cut beneath the original trilogy, but it still felt like it was connected enough through the lifeline of Ford and Marion and sort of the overall structure of the film. It felt like it was a component of the bigger Indiana Jones universe. I don't know how this is going to be, but what I do know is I think they should get on the bandwagon of hyping this one up a little bit earlier. Now, Disney seems to have the habit of sort of sitting back and waiting until the 11th hour, so to speak, and then trying to put out a bunch of stuff and get people's interest. I think you have to excite people about Indiana Jones 5. I hate to say it like that, because I'm certainly interested in it, but all we've had to go on so far is like some pictures of like a tired Ford with like CGI dots on his face for when they supposedly are gonna like de-age him. while he's running through the fields with this dumpy looking guy who was in the Captain America First Avenger film. I don't remember that actor's name, but so we don't have a lot to go by to get excited about this. Now, I remember Crystal Skull, at least a year before the film came out, they had pictures of Ford on set as Indy, and they were hyping up, oh, gee, he still looks great. That's what this picture is, by the way. They revealed Marion Ravenwood was coming back, Karen Allen. They had already announced that Indy has a son, and it was going to be played by Shia LaBeouf. We really don't have anything about this yet, and I think that's a mistake. They really have to up the hype train and try to get people excited about this, because particularly with Disney in charge, I don't think anybody thinks anything good is going to come of this. Of course, there's the naysayers who are like, Ford's too old, Ford's too old, Ford's too old. Ford's in great shape. I think he'll be able to handle this. They're going to play it realistically. I don't think they're going to have him like diving off of the Empire State Building or anything. But, I'm sure he'll be able to manage some heroics that are going to be worthy of the Indiana Jones name. The bigger problem to me is they're going to set this in the 60s, of course, to accommodate Ford's age. So he's probably going to be playing a guy somewhat younger than his own years, but probably a guy in his 70s, which would probably make, like the mid-60s for this film reasonable. All right, let me take a look at the copy. Indiana Jones 5 will reportedly find Dr. Jones once again coming up against his favorite foes, the Nazis. Of course, why not? We also have confirmation that the movie will be set in the 60s during the space race, possibly incorporating elements of Operation Paperclip. The setting would place this adventure after the events of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but since previous set photos have confirmed that Ford will be de-aged for certain scenes, it's safe to assume that the story will play out over different time periods. Harrison Ford will return as the legendary archaeologist and adventurer, and he'll be joined by Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Solo: A Star Wars Story, Shawnette Renee Wilson from Black Panther, Antonio Banderas from Desperado and Uncharted. Yeah, Antonio Banderas, it's another thing. He's kind of flying under the radar here. He's like popping up in all these films lately. He's in Uncharted. He's in this. He's a good actor. I like to see what he's going to do in this one. I don't know. And of course, Mads Mikkelsen from Doctor Strange, who will probably be the main antagonist. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that's who they got. John Williams will, of course, return to serve as composer. Kathleen Kennedy, Steven Spielberg, and Simon Emanuel will serve as producers. Indy 5's whips into theaters July 29th, 2023. It says 2022, but again, these guys, you got to do your job. You got to check these facts. You got to make these things accurate. It's 2023. So again, we're about a year away. I understand they kind of don't want to overhype the thing, but I think you got to give somebody something to look forward to when it comes to something like this. So there you have it. A sort of abbreviated Torch News Roundup on a Wednesday evening, but much enjoyed. So hopefully we'll see another trailer, seeing as how Kenobi comes out, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever it's going to be called, comes out in May. I imagine we'll be seeing another trailer probably within the next month, and that'll be exciting. That'll be something worth looking forward to. All right, so once again, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. Check the link in the description below for our Twitter page and for the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, soon to be coming your way. I'm pointing at you, even though you can't see me right now. Coming your way soon, and will probably be within the next month, is what I'm hoping anyway. So until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.